And now I'd like to welcome to the stage Thomas, the founder of Shout Platform, and Murray Leach, one of his investors, angel investors. So welcome to the stage. Thank you very much for coming. If I could just start with you, Thomas, do you want to just talk us through how you found your investors from this round? How did you find Murray? Did you find him in a pub, in a taxi?
So actually, we didn't find our investors in a conventional way. So you might be thinking of there was maybe some accelerator demo day or some networking event. But the truth is that we found our investors in a completely random way. So specifically, when I founded the company, we've been based in Spaceport X. That's one of the local co-working spaces. I think it's actually the first modern co-working space in Manchester. And Mario was just sitting there next to me, and we've been talking about, new laptops and stuff. And then one day I've been presenting our proposition to one of our potentially partnering companies, and Mario has seen the pitch, and that's how it all started.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Always start a conversation with the person next to you at a co-working space. I'm going to do that now. So, but it's basically Murray had his own company. Essentially.
That's correct. It was a situation of, wow, the coffee sucks. Yes, it does. Let's talk about something else. And seeing over his shoulder what he's working on. And if you've seen some of Thomas's presentations, PowerPoints, some of the graphics of the app itself, he's far better visually than most people you'll meet. And when you discover he's not a designer, suddenly there's more conversation to have. For me, we were about 2 years ahead in terms of stage of business. So we already had customers. We just moved to Manchester. We started the business in the States, but we'd moved to Manchester, not really fully understanding the scene here, and wanting to find a footing and staff to recruit, somewhere to be, and Spaceport seemed to be the correct place to be at the time. It was just a nice place to socialize with people who were doing things as we were. They all seemed to be a bit of an earlier stage than we were, but just to get into the scene, and happened to bump into lots of people who we've worked with over the last 3-4 years while we've been here, have invested in a couple of things, started another business while we were there. So things for us went on in leaps and bounds. We knew Thomas, we knew what he was doing. There was some overlap with things that we were interested in, and it just kind of made sense. From my point of view, actually, there was a dual reason to invest, and one of them is the obvious. He's doing something interesting. Can I make money doing it with him? The other one was him personally. So I don't think often investors talk about the personal reasons to invest in things, but I saw a person who would fill a gap in a business that I currently have, that if his business succeeds, I make money, and if his business fails, I've got a great employee, potentially. So there's ulterior motives in everything. There's no altruism whatsoever.
Well, it's really interesting. I think we picked up in the discussion earlier about that personal element. People invest in people. And it's about how you can get on with that person and how kind of impressed you are with that person. And it sounds like because you were 2 or 3 years ahead in your business, you knew what journey he was about to go on, and you could potentially add some extra value to the business that way.
Absolutely. So it was the ability to see. In fact, he had a collection of abilities and talents that we actually wish we had at that stage in our own business. So my primary interest was, well, can I recruit this person? And then I realized he was working on something bigger than the mundane problems we were, and there's no way he's going to divert his energy from what he's doing today to do something for us as an employee. So, okay, what is it he's working on? And it kind of just flowed from there. I think perhaps he will flesh out on this. Some of the things we had been through, some of the gripes we'd had with partners, investors, suppliers, customers, knowing at what point to start to take on customers, what kind of promises you can and can't make. Those things are things we had been through already, and we saw as things we could add as value to his business going forward that would accelerate the pace of return on investment for us.
Yeah, and I'm really enjoying when you're talking so nicely about Thomas, just to see him squirming on the stage, go, oh no, this is really embarrassing. But
He's glowing red.
yeah, but Thomas, do you want to pick up on that point? So, what did you see about Murray, and perhaps even before you met Murray, what did you want from an investor, and why were you attracted to Murray and Rosie, business partner?
Okay, so maybe I would like to answer your question, but I feel like I should tell the full story. So Murray is one of the 3 investors who has to date invested in our company. So Murray and Rosie, they are a couple. Rosie's Murray's wife, and our lead investor Patrick is based in London. Again, and that story, like meeting with him, was completely random. I talked to his marketing officer who was visiting Manchester, and then this gentleman introduced us to Patrick. So again, like a very non-conventional way of finding an investor. What was your original question?
So, what were you hoping to get from the investors when you set out on that investment journey?
Right. So I think all the founders really dream to have some kind of really ideal investor and you have some ideals, and it's going to be really hard, and especially after the very few first meeting, you realize it's going to be or it's very likely to be founder unfriendly, especially when you're talking to institutional funds. And I have to say that we've been incredibly lucky because we found pretty much perfect investor for our business, investors, all of them. So they are bringing funds to the business, but that's probably the least significant part. They are bringing a lot of interesting expertise, from business expertise, business development, marketing. All of them are people who started their own tech companies before and have become extremely successful in all 3 cases. And also there is this moment of, so most of the time it doesn't really feel like dealing with investors, but it feels like dealing with a business partner. So a person who is really encouraging you to do your business and helping you on your journey, and is not stressing out about KPIs and like returns on investment, even though we are trying really hard. But that's something which should be obvious and implicit. So
them kind of understanding your business and understanding the pains you're going through was really key for you.
Yeah. And so it was really, I mean, to me, I feel extremely privileged and happy and lucky that we've been able to find such investors, because I think it's really rare. Actually, an interesting attribute of all our investors is that they lived for some time in the United States. In case of Rosie, that was most of her life. So I even like to make a joke that she's actually American rather than English, even though she doesn't like it very much. But it's true. So it was this kind of very American pro-business mindset, a lot of international experiences, and successful background in tech.
And I think there's something you've missed there. All of the investors in your business have sought and successfully found investment from others before. So having already raised money yourself, it gives you a very different perspective on what is and isn't important in the investments you make. So knowing that there is alignment between your expectations and my expectations means that we can work together without conflict. And I think that whole I've been through it before you have means that I know what questions you're going to have and what fears you're going to have. So I know how to pitch you, how to sell to you, even if you probably don't want to hear that.
But it's interesting. We spoke about expectations and what an angel is looking for and what a VC is looking for and things. But actually, just having the same vision of where you want to take the company to, you have far fewer conflicts further down the line if you both kind of share that vision. And just picking up on that point, I think much more likely to have an angel investor that's been through that, because a lot of the angel investors have been through it, sold a business, or maybe still in a business, and have enough funds from that business, generates enough money that they can actually start investing. So a lot of them have been through that. And I would say even VCs, fund managers, you'll often get ex-entrepreneurs working in VCs that have been, they're all failed entrepreneurs, but at least they do understand a little bit of that journey. I was just wondering, Murray, if you wanted to touch on exactly how you approach helping Thomas and helping Shout Platform, because do you try to give some kind of overarching advice, or do you try to hone in on specific areas? How do you go about it?
it's probably quite strange, my approach to investment and my approach to what to do during an investment process with somebody and after the investment. And the fact that my wife is my co-founder for the last 3 businesses, 2 exits and soon to be another one, means that there's some divided responsibilities there. It's effectively that we are one person making investment decisions, but we completely delegate aspects of it to each other. I have 0 involvement in the product, don't care about the product, don't care about the branding, names, who the customers are, none of that stuff. I'm concerned about the mechanics of how the business model works. I'm concerned about how the technology works. My role in the business that I founded after exit has been CTO for the group of companies that bought that business. So building tech teams and hiring developers and deciding what technologies to use is the normal day-to-day activity for me. So having those conversations with someone who's a developer and also having been through the process of raising investment and selling product to justify why someone would want to invest in a business means that my awareness is acute about what the business model has to be to justify why I should invest, because I need to make money back from it. How will the business become profitable?
Yeah.
So my involvement with Thomas is always around scrutinizing what's the business model, what is it that you're wanting to do, and how does that contribute to getting towards these milestones by which I make profit? And he might term it, we make profit, but let's be real, investment is not altruistic. I'm trying to make money from my money. I want to stop giving money to the tax man, so SEIS, absolute must, and I want to make a return. And I will ruthlessly do whatever that takes to happen. And sometimes that is about telling him to do or not do something. Rarely it will be to not do something. Often it's more me introducing a potential avenue for revenue. So here's a potential client or market you may not have thought of. I spent a day networking with my own customer or somebody that I know to deliver somebody who's already interested in wanting to buy something, because the quicker they buy something, the quicker he starts making revenue and profit.
And actually, that's true for your other investors too, that actually you've been able to utilize their network to get introductions and so on.
Absolutely. So actually one of the things I learned on this journey is that the network is even more important probably than the team. You know, people are always focused on the team, which is super important. But you know, very, very quickly you will need an extensive network, you know, in order to get access to your future investors, investment funds, introductions to customers. And so it is really, really hard to build this network. And it is absolutely fantastic when your own investors don't have just this kind of, you know, hands-off approach, but are actually actively helping you to build this network and are bringing skills to the company. And I think in our case, in case of, you know, all 3 investors, it's more than just a naive investor-investee relationship, but it's a little bit more complicated. So for example, the technical expertise Murray has mentioned before. So, you know, I really understood that, you know, Murray's company needed some kind of technical expertise, which we were able to provide in-house. Also, our lead investors company required certain technical expertise. And so I've been perfectly happy to do this kind of trade where, you know, part of the investment will be, they provided us their time and funds, but in return we would give them a few hours, or actually there was no set amount of hours, but whenever they needed, I was always keen to help them, whether it was, you know, attending a meeting or doing some technical decisions or having a technical conversations, or even going as far as actually having a sit down with chief technical officer of our lead investors primary company to, you know, to talk about like modern practices in development at the moment in software engineering.
Okay, and so now just a kind of final couple of questions. I know we're kind of running out of time, but I'm really keen to know what your next plans are for investment, Thomas, and how you're going to plan to find those investors, and what your role might be. I'm not going to get you a number. I'll put in $1 million, but you know what your role might be, Murray, in Thomas's raise. I don't know, Thomas, you want to say what you're looking to do?
Okay, so we closed 2 rounds of funding to date. The first one was equity-free funding provided by Creative England as a part of the Accelerator program 2 years ago. The second round of funding was full SEIS, meaning £150,000. You know, which was provided by the 3 angel investors. Now we would like to extend this seed round in order to help product deployment, because we'll need some money for that. This is going to be £100,000. We are talking to angel investors in the UK and also overseas. Actually, as we speak right now, one of my advisors is on a plane to San Francisco, where tomorrow he will start, pushing our deck to people over there. I'm being perfectly serious right now. And it would be possible to probably get all the funding from the current investors, but I think that would be, in our case, a lazy option. It really worked well. This kind of paradigm where you can get investors who are also supporting your business and giving you absolutely invaluable, you really wouldn't be able to pay people with such level of expertise to be part of your team. So, getting this expertise effectively free of charge or on top of the investment is really something I would like to do in the future. And so we are now looking to get angels on board who can bring some interesting skills to the company. So this round will be angel-led or just angel-based. And the next round of funding, which will be, the round afterwards, after that, Series A, we are already in talks with various firms for that, which looks like it's going to be an institutional round. So,
By institutional, you mean like a venture capital firm?
Like a VC firm, yeah.
And Murray, how do you see your future role in terms of being an investor?
Personally, we're in the process of an exit of one business and a raise from another one. So who knows? We might be putting some more in. I would expect we're staying involved, unless Thomas turns around and says, get out, not interested, cap table needs cleaning up. We'll be happy to stay. I think as the business evolves, there are more opportunities, at least from my point of view, to add value. And adding value adds to my profit, so why would I not want to?
Excellent. Well, thank you both very, very much for coming on stage. Can we give them a round of applause, please?
Thank you.